Okay, welcome to Math 2, Day 2 of the Quadratic Formula. Yesterday I told you that there was a song. This is just one of many that's on the internet. I sang it for you in person.
Remember to row your boat. So here we go. X equals opposite B plus or minus the square root. B squared minus 4AC divided by 2A. Learn this, you'll never forget it. Thanks for...
All right, so you could do it to row, row, row your boat. You could do it to Pop Goes the Weasel. You could do it to the Notre Dame Fight song. But x equals opposite of b plus or minus the square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So I'll probably have some extra credit opportunities. If you want to put it to another song, feel free. So that is how we can solve for the x-intercepts. So we've already had factoring. We've already used our graphing calculator via the tables or on the graph. And we've had the square roots method. And now we have we've had completing the square. I'm going to put that one first. And now we have the quadratic formula. So there's quite a few ways to solve for your x-intercept. So that's why I get grumpy when people say, I don't know which one to do. You can do any one of these. So I shouldn't say that. If it's not factorable, you can't factor. But any one of these other ones, you want to come about as a favorite of your own. I used to not like completing the square. I love completing the square these last few years. That's one thing MVP did correctly. But that middle term or that linear term has to be even to make your life nice. If it's factorable, then factor. The graphing calculator has its limitations unless you can spot it as an integer. The square roots method is great, but again, it has to be in that form, which is what completing the square eventually gets to that form. And then the quadratic formula works every single time, no matter what. So this is probably going to be your favorite for a lot of you. Okay, so find the following for each quadratic function. F of x equals x squared plus 8x minus 20. Does this factor? So the question is, are there factors of negative 20? So you've got 1 and 20, 2 and 10, 4 and 5. Do any of these make a combination of 8? Yes. So since this is negative and it adds up to a positive 8, the bigger factor is positive. Okay, so that would be x minus 2, x plus 10 equals 0. So that means the x-intercepts are 2, 0, and negative 10, 0. So 2, 0, and negative 10, 0. I'm assuming this is the end, but just in case. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You'll see, that's why I can't assume. I know it opens up because A is positive, and I know that the vertex is going to be in here somewhere. So that's what we're going to complete the square. So let's do x squared plus 8x. Half of 8 is 4. Squared is 16. I already had minus 20. Now I'm going to minus 16. I'm just putting my equal 0 over here for space. You know, Mrs. Buck, I never quite start over far enough. So the vertex form is x plus 4 squared minus 36. I'll just say equals y there, or f of x. Vertex is negative 4, negative 36. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then obviously negative 36 is going to be off the grid here. But we could still make our best picture. We can also find the x-intercept. It's 0, negative 20. The y-intercept. 0, negative 20. So it's not the best graph to start with to prove all these points, but 10, 20. And then here's negative 36, just based on mine. Put some arrows on there. Life is good. Axis of symmetry. So this is kind of the whole semester now that we can do. We can find all the goodies to a quadratic. So the line of symmetry is x equals negative 4. Now the distance from the line of symmetry, I'm not going to kind of focus on, but if you were with me for that lesson, it's halfway. The halfway is between these two. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's just that the line of symmetry is halfway between the intercepts. Halfway between the intercepts. Okay? We're just going to use the quadratic formula here to practice with it. If it's not factorable, we have to use the quadratic formula. So every time you want to outline your A, your B, your C. A is 1. Okay, there's a 1 here. B is positive 8. C is negative 20. X equals opposite of B plus or minus the square root B squared minus 4AC all over 2A. So now we're going to pop those in. So negative 8 plus or minus 8 squared minus 4AC all over 2 times A. So this is where your calculator could come in. A couple places. One, you can prove this, x squared plus 8x minus 20. You can double check that you factored it correctly. There's negative 10 and there's 2. I don't have to expand that window. If I wanted to, I would make sure that my y-min was like negative 50 because that x-intercept and the vertex are negative 36 and negative 20. But remember, if you change your window, you can, like, sometimes kids will say, oh, my parabola looks different. If I change my window, it's going to mush the parabola and make it look narrower or wider, depending on what my window is. So think of like a picture on your camera that you're zooming in and out of. It's going to blow it up or shrink it. Same thing with the window. Okay, so then on your calculator here, go to the home screen by hitting second quit. And you can pop all this in at once. So I would do parentheses 8 squared minus 4, parentheses 1, parentheses negative 20. So that'll do the underneath the radical accurately for you. I mentioned in the first day of this that the most mistakes kids will make with this is with the mathematics, like the actual numbers. So good old just grade school numbers. So the square root of 144 is 12. If you didn't remember that from your chart, of course, you can take the square root of 144 and see that it's a perfect square. So now we're going to shoot off into our 2. Remember, this is negative 8 plus 12 over 2. Negative 8 plus 12 is 4. Divided by 2 is 2. So same as this one. And negative 8 minus 12 divided by 2 is negative 20 divided by 2, which is negative 10. Same as this one. So this whole semester is sort of summarized in this one little problem. Okay, I'm going to do one more in this puzzle, and then you're going to do 2. So, example 2. X squared minus 6x plus 4. Does this factor? If so, factor it. So are there any factors of 4 that add up to 6? No. So no. X-intercept. So now the only way to find that is to do the quadratic formula. So A is 1, B is minus 6, C is 4. X equals opposite of B. So since B is negative, the opposite is positive, plus or minus the square root B squared, so that's going to be positive, minus 4AC all over 2A. Now, here again, a calculator. If you're not using your calculator, you have to know that this is a positive 36 minus 16. But if you're using your calculator, use all the parentheses. So parentheses, minus 6, close parentheses, squared. Minus 4 times A times C. So I even type in the 1 with parentheses. Okay? Because sometimes that parabola might be opening upside down, and that 1 is negative, so then you might mess up your sign. Okay, so 6 plus or minus the square root of 20 over 2. So now we've already had many, many weeks of simplifying this radical. So this is going to be 6 plus or minus 2 root 5 over 2. And then we talked in class about splitting this up. So this is going to be 6 over 2 plus or minus 2 root 5 over 2. which is 3 plus minus root 5. Now, some of you might be saying, well, geez, where am I supposed to graph that? So that tells me that it doesn't cross at a cute number. So x squared minus 6x plus 4, this is where your graphing calculator won't get you very far on this because, and I'll hit zoom 6 to get it into a 10 by 10. So you can see if I zoom in on this, that it doesn't cross at a perfect number. It's crossing in between, which is what this is. It's going to be an irrational number. Okay? Boop, 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 boop. So, second quit. So, if I did 3 plus the second square root of 5, I would get 5.2. 1, 2, 3, 3, 4, 5.2. And then if I did 3 minus the square root, I'm sorry, this glare. Let me switch places. 3 minus the square root of 5, I would get 0.76. And you could check it with your calculator. There's 0.76 and there's 5.2 something. Okay, so those are the x-intercepts. So you can write them as 3 plus root 5 comma 0 and 3 minus root 5 comma 0. But in this case, I don't really mind if you put 3 plus or minus, as long as you understand that there's 2. But I like to split them up. And that you're going to have to, on your calculator, unless you're going to like just kind of ballpark it on your graphing calculator. But otherwise, you're going to have to get the exact by doing that. Okay? So a lot of stuff on your graphing calculator. So hopefully you dust the cobwebs off of those puppies. Okay, vertex form, remember, you must complete the square. All right, so y equals x squared minus 6x. Half of 6 is 3, squared is 9. And then I already had plus 4, and here comes minus 9. Sorry, that's bouncing. So y equals, or f of x, I'll stick with f of x, I'll be good. So this is going to factor x minus 3 squared. I'm pointing to that minus sign because some of you guys keep missing it. If you change your sign here, it's going to change your vertex. So make sure you keep that sign. Minus 5. Okay, so that means the vertex is positive 3. My pen just skipped. That's not a negative. Negative 5. Positive 3, negative 5. That means the line of symmetry is x equals 3. And the distance, I mean, I just want you to know that it's going to be halfway between here, but it's really not that important to me. I'd rather you can complete the square and then you got your vertex. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But just know that this is exactly between. That's sort of where this divided by 2a comes from. I mean, if you really can't sleep at night, you can look up the quadratic formula proof. And there's a lot of good stuff in there. All righty. Yay. Okay, I'm going to end there because you're going to do the next 2 for homework tonight. And I hope you have a good time. Okay. Sing your song. Practice. Aka love.